Welcome to the Do Whatever It Takes podcast. Conversations that help athletes maximize their potential on and off the field. From coaches, trainers, former teammates, athletic influencers, and business owners, we'll discuss their journey. I am your host, Savon Huggins. Let's do it. Before we get started, we would like to thank our sponsor, Cruise Control Music, the ultimate sonic branding experience. Cruise Control Music creates custom authentic sounds and music to showcase your brand identity and is a direct reflection of your vision, goals, and values. If you're looking to start or level up on your podcast experience, log on to cruisecontrolmusic.com. We're here with Kaleb Johnson, former Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, and this particular episode is actually a great friend of mine and a college teammate. But more importantly, I've gotten a chance to play with this guy, Kaleb Johnson. Seen him grow, watched him get picked up from college, going into the NFL, and bouncing around from about 6 to 7 teams over a 4 to 5 year span. And this episode is very valuable because we talk about athletes having a platform and using that platform, but outside of using that platform, expressing the internal things that go on in an athlete's mindset and what it takes for them to be successful. But aside from that, the things that they go through, maybe potentially negatively, and things that affect them, where it's not always easy for them to be able to cope with. It could be things as far as playing time, injuries, fighting, numbers on a depth chart, and all these things that take into making an NFL roster, but also providing for your family. And we want to share this podcast episode with you all about the person outside of being an athlete. And this hit home for a lot of people, I think, because it's near and dear, but more importantly, this is what most professional athletes go through. And this is just a glimpse, a snippet of one particular person using their platform, expressing their things that they go through, which is very important for all athletes to understand. So we hope you enjoy the episode of former Philadelphia Eagles offensive lineman Kaleb Johnson.
So now I'm learning the game more as an NFL player.
Yeah, okay, and I think that's very interesting because I'm a firm believer, and I say this all the time as a trainer: a smarter player is always a better player. And to hear you in year 5 in the NFL, and you talk specifically about taking care of your body and understanding the nuance of the game is so important. And a lot of times young athletes fail to they miss that point because they use athleticism to get to a certain point. And after that, now when you get to a level where everybody is just as good as you, what separates you from the next?
Yes.
And like you said, your preparation, you taking care of your body, you making sure that you're a student of the game, and also in your position as an offensive lineman, you being an athlete and playing more than one position, right? Yes. Because if you're not 6'9", and you don't have a good feet, or you're not drafted in the first round at the left tackle, you need to make sure that you can play left tackle, right tackle, both guard and other guard, and also the center. So absolutely. So that brings value to you. And as you said, you really didn't play center in college.
I didn't. I played guard and both tackles in college. So I had to learn center when I got to the NFL. And
right.
That was definitely a learning curve for me.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's something that I definitely tell my younger players: you got to be able to play all 5 positions. No matter what you think you are, you need to understand offensive line is about versatility.
Yes, absolutely. And in all sports as well. And most importantly, like for himself and playing, football, I tell all of the guys that I train that make sure you're athletes. I mean, Don't specialize in one in particular position. Make sure that you are playing every single thing, whether you're a running back or a receiver, you're playing the defense side of the ball. You're adding value to yourself at a young age. So that way, when you do get to the next level, if you make it there, like yourself, you aren't doing these things for the first time. So that's great. So let's shift back a little bit towards, you got picked up back in 2015 by the Baltimore Ravens. Talk to me about your journey, man. I mean, you got a pretty interesting story, and I'd like for you to share.
Yeah, like I said, it's been a lot of ups and downs for me. I was a 4-year starter at Rutgers, had a pretty decent career there, and I was expecting to get drafted. So coming out and not getting drafted, being an undrafted free agent, signing with Baltimore, I was pretty beat up. I beat myself up about that a little bit, but I'm a competitor, so I kind of use that as fuel. I went out, I worked, had a pretty decent preseason with them, and they ended up signing me to the practice squad. Once again, I was a little disappointed about that, but I mean, it was better than nothing. So I went out, sat on their practice squad most of the season. That's when I learned most of the center, and they activated me week 13.
That's right.
Yep. So I was out there. Actually, no, that was week 10. Yeah, week 10 I was activated, and I was on the roster for 3 weeks, and they cut me to put me back on practice squad. Just some things happened. I think Joe Flacco or something got hurt, and then Matt Schaub was back up. He got hurt and needed to bring another quarterback in. So once they cut me, the Cleveland Browns picked me up, and I went to Cleveland. That was week 13, and I finished the season out with them.
Now you were on the practice or active?
I was
at that time?
active roster.
Active roster.
Yeah,
okay, so for you guys who don't know what the active and practice squad roster is, the practice squad is made up of 11 guys?
Yeah, practice squad is 10 players.
Okay.
They keep a couple extra guys throughout the season just in case. Just in case they want to bring somebody up. And they need bodies for practice as well.
Okay, cool. And you were in the active roster, which is the 53, with those guys get paid a game check, which is a little bit, more than a practice squad guy does.
About 4 times more.
Yeah, there you go.
those game checks a little better than practice.
Yes, absolutely. I can imagine. But to go back to, after the Cleveland Browns.
So I went to Cleveland. I finished the season out with them. I went throughout the whole offseason, and they ended up letting me go after training camp. I spent some time at home the first 3 weeks. Had a couple workouts. Went to Detroit, went to Tampa. And I went out to Arizona, and I had a really good workout. They really liked me. And I ended up going out there, and I sat on their practice squad all season long. And, I was in a good place. I was learning, so I didn't complain as much. But that hurt me. I felt like I should have had an opportunity to go out and play on the field. But I kept my head in the books. I kept doing everything that I was supposed to do. So I finished the season with Arizona. That was 2016. And I was there all off season, and then going again until that training camp 2017. They let me go out to training camp after I had one of the best preseasons that a lot of guys on that team had. And
I remember watching.
Yeah, man. Some things happened to where they couldn't keep me, and I think that's where everything for me kind of just got real. And it was like, man, what are you doing wrong? How can you how can you make yourself how can you make yourself more valuable? Because you think you're doing everything right, but what else could you be doing? Yeah, so I sat home most of the whole season, and then the last 3 weeks of the season, Kansas City called. So I was excited. I had me staying in shape, just working at a after-school program that I grew up in back in Jacksonville. And just doing that and working out at night and just doing things, trying to make sure that I was always ready. Stay ready, you don't have to get ready. That's kind of the mentality that I had. So went to Kansas City. I was there.
This was 2017.
This is 2018.
2018, correct? 2018. Okay.
Went to Kansas. Yes. So the end of 17 season, 2018 all season, I was there. Had a pretty decent all season with them OTAs. I was out there doing my thing. One of the strongest guys on the team, one of the fastest guys on the team. But they ended up letting me go after minicamp in June last year, and that was another opportunity for me to just kind of self-reflect, just kind of look back on myself and what I was doing and who I was, and the funny thing is, I kind of asked these coaches and the scouts, I'm like, what is it? What am I doing wrong? What can I do better? And every time it's just like, oh, well, we're going to go with a different guy just to kind of see. See if we can get somebody else in here to kind of fix our mold. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what? This is the fourth time I've been cut in 3 years, and I'm looking like, man, maybe I should do something else. Mm-hmm. So at this point, I'm looking for other careers. Like, I'm helping out at my old high school. You know, I'm doing things. My pops work for UPS, so I'm looking at UPS stuff. I'm trying to do something else. All right. Training camp comes around. The Chicago Bears call me. All right. Tell my agent, let's go do it. Go to Chicago. Mm-hmm. I'm literally out there for a week. Playing only center, right? Some things happen. They ain't gonna let me go after 1 week. Literally. I got there on a Friday. They let me go that following Friday.
Wow.
Yeah, man. And same thing. Just they needed bodies for that week, and I was a guy. I was there. The crazy part about the NFL is, man, it's not personal. It's nothing personal. But it feels like an attack on you almost, man. Mm-hmm. You have to be in a mental space where you gotta be able to understand it. You gotta be able to understand the business side of it. A lot of people don't see that. We only see the glitz and glamour and the things that happen on Sundays and the Monday nights and the things we see on social media. But it's so much more that goes into it. So after Chicago let me go, I was done. After that, like literally, they let me go that Friday, and I was home Saturday. I was like, Mom, I'm done. I'm gonna go start doing something else. I promise you, on Sunday, Minnesota calls me. Minnesota called me. I was like, man. I told my agent's name is Rodney Edwards. I'm like, Rodney, man, you can't keep doing this to me, man. I'm too emotional for this.
Right.
You know
right.
Yeah. So go to Minnesota. First week there we played in the Jaguars. Mind you, I'm from Jacksonville, so this was pretty cool for me. Pretty good experience. I got to see these guys, man. Telvin Smith, Jalen Ramsey, these guys that I watched at Florida State. Now they at the Jaguars doing big things. And then, so I went out. I didn't practice all week with them. Like, I didn't get one team rep at all. Go out to the game. We have 2 offensive linemen go down. Who's the next guy up? Me. Mind you, I hadn't practiced all week. So I go out there, and I have one of the best performances of my career. After not practicing all week. Mind you, I hadn't played football since June when I was with Kansas City. Because I didn't do much. I didn't do much in Chicago either because I was still learning their playbook. So literally, I'm out there just off pure talent, you know, doing what I can, and had a great performance. So I went there, did that, and then the following week we played Seattle. They didn't play me. They had some other things going on. And the following week we played Tennessee. I got late in a little bit, and I had a pretty good game. I had a pretty decent game, but they ended up letting me go after that, and I sat home again, and that's really when I said I was done. After Minnesota let me go, that was 6 teams in that time period, and I was like, okay, I'm done, man. I'm gonna start doing something else. Got an opportunity to interview for the head coaching job at my old high school, and I went in for that, and I was subbing at the school, waiting on my certification to come back so that I can be a teacher. So I was in the classroom helping out those kids, and that was fun for me. I got to kind of go back to my roots. It was humbling, and I was able to kind of see how some of my kids are misled a little bit. They think, oh, I'm just going to go to the NFL and everything's going to be great. And it's like, hey, man, listen to me. I promise you. You know, listen, this is going to be a little
only
bit
if
more.
you knew.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's a little more than what you see on TV. I promise you that.
Right.
And of course, kids going to be kids. Some of them talking trash. Like, oh, you got cut. Or, oh, you was a bench rider. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I saw you on Madden, which you like a 67 overall. I'm like, okay, how many people you know that's on Madden? You know? So a lot of things that I felt like were meant to kind of break me. I kind of use it as learning moments, and it really. I mean, I'm glad you had this brand do it, man, because it really kind of brought that out of me. Just doing whatever it takes, you know, and that's really what I was doing. Training at night, working in the mornings, you know, doing what it takes to kind of take care of myself and kind of stay strong.
That's right.
I mean, mentally, I was in a bad space because I thought football was my identity. So not being on a team, I was kind of hurt by that. But like I said, I had an interview for the head coaching job. End up not getting that because they said they wanted an older guy and they were a little bit more coaching experience, which I understood. They ended up hiring a guy who I was going to have my offensive coordinator. So after that, my job said I was done. This new AAF league came out. My agent was talking about me going out and playing that league, right? So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go play in AAF. All right, everything's cool. I don't even know what team. We hadn't even talked about what team I was gonna go to. I was like, perfect. All right, I'm good. Mm-hmm. Washington Redskins called me. Mind you, I'm like, I'm done. I'm all the way down to NFL at this point. It's like, man, why am I even?
That's what happens, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm all the way. It's like football. And if NFL football's over for me, like, I'm just gonna go start doing something else. So they called me. I go out there, have a great workout, man. Talking about just balls to the wall, killing everything we do. We actually had a guy to get hurt. And there was 3 of us. One guy went down, twisted his ankle. So me and the other guys out there, we grind, we going after him, you know, so we getting it.
That's right.
And they ended up not signing either one of us. I think they wanted to sign the guy who got hurt, but you know, a lot of that stuff is predetermined, I think. But that's the conspiracy theory to me. So they didn't sign me. So once again, I'm heartbroken. Like, call my agent, like, man, why you do this to me? Like, you know, I was done. You know, I was trying to do something else. Like, what's going on for real? He's like, man, you know what? You just gotta keep grinding. You gotta put your head down and work. You know, things happen when they're supposed to. This was a Tuesday. I had that workout. I went back home. I was in the classroom Wednesday and Thursday. Mind you, the kids are pissed off too. They're like, Mr. Johnson, you just gonna leave us like that? And I was like, oh, you know what?
The same one who talking about playing you in Madden.
Right. The same kids that were talking trash. They're like, man, you just gonna leave us like that, Mr. Johnson? You know what, man? You know, I'm gonna stay with y'all. I'm gonna stick around with y'all for a little bit longer. You know, do what we gotta do. That Friday, the Eagles called me.
Wow.
You know, the Eagles called me and said, can you come in for a workout? Man, so I got on the plane.
How was your mind, like, after this? Like, I mean, you've been through so much, so, like, what was your mind after that last one? Like, all right, like...
I'm literally all over the place, bro. I don't know what to think at this point. It's like, man, really? Really? I'm looking at the sky like, God, really? You know, all this stuff. Like, I'm going back and forth, just trying to find some stability in my life. And I'm not gonna lie, it's been hard on me, man. It was hard on me. Like, so I had that workout with the Eagles. I wouldn't say that was my best workout, actually. The Eagles workout was probably one of my worst. And they ain't no signing me, bro. After the workout, I'm thinking, all right, I'm about to go get them to playing. I'm going to go get ready to go to work on Monday. You know what I'm saying? Figure out something else to do.
Wow.
And they said, you know what, man? Go in there and get fitted for your helmet. Go get your cleats. We got practice in a couple hours. I'm like, what?
So how was your mind when all that went down? Like take us through exactly after that workout. So you're on the field. After you do your workout, what, like someone just pulled you to the side? Like,
so I'm going in, I'm packing up my stuff. Like, I'm about to go get ready for my flight. Like, everybody in the locker room talking about, what time's your flight, man? I'm about to go. I'm gonna do this. Go do this with my girl, whatever that. And I look down at my phone like, well, I don't have an itinerary. So I hit the dude though, like, hey, I gotta get my itinerary, right? He's like, nah, go get your helmet.
Oh.
Like, okay. Hold on, look. I'm gonna get my helmet. Like, I'm about to go home, man. I know how this works because usually around the end of the season they start working out guys just to kind of see who they want to bring in on the future still after the season.
Right.
So I'm thinking like, okay, I'm just here for like a little workout, just see what's going on. They say, go grab your helmet, go grab your cleats. We got practice in a couple hours. So I'm sitting there looking like, what in the world is going on? Like, I'm literally in a shock. But I'm thankful for it. I went out. I had a couple weeks of good practice. They had me working at tackle, which I hadn't played since college. You know, so I was out there doing my thing at tackle. That's another thing with my versatility, man. That's one of my biggest attributes.
You bring your value out.
Yes, man. Mind you, I only played center in Chicago. I only played guard on most of the teams I was on. So being able to go to certain teams and play different positions, my value's through the roof. So yeah, so that kind of brings us to where we are now.
So all last season you were basically from the middle, what with the 3/4 of the season up until
the last 3 weeks.
The last 3 weeks, that you were on a team. So how does it feel that you were part of that? Because I know for you it was crazy that the Eagles were playing this New Orleans Saints, and like you went from being in the classroom to just doing that, and you almost had a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
I almost went to the Super Bowl, bro. That was something that me and one of my friends was talking about. Like, golly, man, You was in the classroom substitute teaching with these bad little kids, and now you out here a game before the NFC Championship.
Like, that don't even add up.
No, right? Like how? Where does this happen? Like,
right.
This is you can't make this stuff up, bro.
Not at all, man. And again, like, it's a lot to take in after hearing everything you had to say, but I think it's so important for people to understand what really goes on in these NFL players' minds, what goes on through their process. Like, everybody sees the commercials and sees the plays on Sunday, but nobody knows about the human being of a professional athlete on a day-to-day trying to figure out their way. And to believe it or not, majority of guys are in your shoes. Not everybody is Eli Manning or Tom Brady, or Drew Brees, where they're solidified no matter what happens. They have a career, they have everything set up. Like, majority of the guys, the 53 people on the roster, there's probably about 8 people per roster who are solidified all over the field, and everybody else is just stuck in limbo, just fighting for a position. And to see, someone like yourself in year 5, going through these things, I think it puts in perspective for young athletes, no matter the sport, exactly what it takes to be, successful, and exactly how you can't let football or basketball or baseball define who you are. As you said yourself, that you were, looking at different opportunities for yourself and getting your certification, to get involved in education. But those things are so important because, again, like, as you see, this stuff is not promising. But it's weird. It's a slippery slope because you still have to find that balance of devoting all your time for the next opportunity, but trying to get your life, set up for if it doesn't work out. So take us through, your mind or how you are able to overcome that. Because, again, it's a struggle just hearing what you're saying, man. I mean, you don't know what happens next just from hearing what your story is, although you're with the Philadelphia Eagles now. I mean, everybody sees you with the Eagles sweatshirt on, sees you with the Eagles jersey on, but people don't know about Kaleb Johnson's story, where he came from and how he was able to overcome going through 6 teams for the 7th team. I think that's very, very, a key point in this all is, like, after workout 4 or 5 with the 5th team, you could have gave up. Like, you could, what I'm saying? Like, you could have just stopped. No, I'm fine. Like, I'm good. I want to move on. But, we talk about being infatuated with the process and trusting your journey and living in your purpose. I mean, you want to provide for your family one day and that's your, the end all be all, but you love this game, so trying to find a balance. Like, take us through, I guess, trying to find a balance in between playing, but also trying to make sure that, you don't put all your eggs in one basket, because I think that's important for people to hear, especially high school athletes, to hear a real perspective of somebody where everybody, again, isn't Odell Beckham. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's only one Odell Beckham. There's only one Antonio Brown. There's only one Julio Jones. There's only one Aaron Rodgers. There's only one Cam Newton. And we fail to, or not necessarily fail to realize, but the perception of what we envision an elite professional athlete is their model, but not everybody is them. Most people are in your situation, basketball and baseball. Baseball's a little bit different. Don't get me started with baseball money. But, a lot of guys are in your position fighting for the next opportunity to put food on the table. So kind of just tell me about the balance as far as how you balance still giving it your all, but also making sure that you provide for yourself outside of, the sport.
So, like you said, it does take a lot to be an athlete, and there's a certain time you have to put into it. But I definitely feel like you have to kind of find yourself. You got to find out what you like. You got to find out what you want to do, who you are, and kind of figure out what your purpose is. A lot of people think the purpose is, I'm just gonna go play football and that'll be it. But my biggest thing has always been competition. I've always been a competitor and everything, and I think that's just kind of comes from my sports background. So even when I try to find things outside of football, it's always revolved around competing. So a lot of people don't know this, but I'm vegan, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't eat any animal products, and that's just a personal choice that I've made because what I've read and what I've seen. I mean, I feel like a lot of what our sickness comes from what we put into our bodies. But that's a different conversation for a different day.
Mm-hmm.
But going back to that competing thing, I try to find ways every day to make myself better. And through that, I've found channels of, what am I trying to say? I found channels of helping people. So a lot of times we don't do better because we don't know better. And a lot of false knowledge, a lot of false information is the reason why we don't know better. So I use my competitive nature to kind of go out and kind of attack some of our beliefs and some of the things that we think we know. Some of my biggest conversations have come with my biggest debates, if you want to call them, with older people who've done things for a certain time and they think that's the right way.
Right.
So my competitive nature is just helping people.
And I think that's so important, especially as we continue to evolve as a people and evolve as, athletes, as this game of, personal trainers and investing in your children's future has become the forefront of everything. Like, if you aren't reclassifying your kid, if you aren't investing in your kid, if you aren't doing X, Y, and Z, you are behind an 8 ball. And each and every person nowadays has a personal trainer if you get some type of talent. And like you said, evolving, and a lot of some of these older people are still in that stigma of, this is the way and it's the only way.
Yes.
But, me being a personal trainer in my field and learning from other people, like, again, this is an ever evolving game.
Everything evolves.
And I think one of the biggest keys in sport in itself is that it teaches you how to adapt to different environments.
Definitely.
And it's the same thing in your life, is that when things don't go right, you were able to adapt. Now, you're able to adapt. Why? Because of the experience that you had when you were in college, when you were in high school, when you were younger and you were playing, and when you had go through situations where your future was a little bit unsure, right, you would be able to cope and be able to figure out ways and not feel sorry for yourself like most people do in situations, because, you were mentally tough enough because your purpose was bigger than you, right? So when your purpose is bigger than you, no matter what happens to you, you're still going to find a way to make sure that you're going to be good regardless, exactly, whether that's playing football or not. And I think it's so important for people to understand about Kaleb Johnson's story, that Kaleb never gave up and that Kaleb is still grinding and Caleb's still going. But his story is what a lot of people are going through. But the interesting thing about you is you're able to articulate that, and you are real and up in front and you're honest. And I think that's what separates you and helps you into where you go next in your future. And again, just talking to you, football doesn't define you. Football is an avenue for you, and you're going to use football, and you're going to be able to be, the player you are. I mean, clearly you are good enough if guys are still vying for you. That clearly is evident, because if they didn't, I know a lot of guys who, bounced around from team to team, and then after that, it was over. Yep. You were going in year 5, and people are still, I mean, you even said yourself, like, you felt like personally that you didn't feel you had your best, workout with the Philadelphia Eagles, but they still signed you.
Right.
And although maybe it was predetermined, you just never know. Mm-hmm. But I guarantee you didn't get signed by the Philadelphia Eagles in the Eagles workout. You got signed by the Minnesota workout, or the Arizona workout, right, or the Redskins workout when you crushed it, and the other guy they were supposed to sign and he twisted his ankle. Yeah. So again, how small this world is, and we talk about relationships all the time, and we're going to talk about a different podcast about relationships, is that it's such a small world in this professional world that word spreads. So what people don't understand is, although Kaleb, again, was trying out for the Eagles, one of those coaches may have been a coach for the Redskins or know somebody over there or asked about him, like, yo, this guy is it. This guy is it. We didn't have room for him on the roster, but the next time, somebody picks him up, we're going to put, this is what y'all need. Yeah. And although everybody's competing against each other, it's a cult, like everybody.
It's a big fraternity.
Yes, it is a huge fraternity. So although you're competing against your counterparts, everybody knows everybody, and everybody's vying for the same guys. If you can't get that guy will go there, and vice versa. And that's the business side of it, unfortunately. But you didn't get signed when the Philadelphia Eagles, in workout. You got signed 2 workouts ago when you were consistently performing at a high level, and then you get what I'm saying? So, for instance, you didn't feel like you did that good, but based on your other previous workouts, you know what, yo, like they liked you before you probably even worked out.
That's the truth.
You know what I'm saying? And it goes back to, again, making sure you stay ready, like you said, so you don't have to get ready. And if you don't have to get ready, then you never know. And that goes, again, for in life, man. So, you know, it's great to hear your story. And I think a lot of high school and collegiate and professional athletes can learn from your story about doing whatever it takes to be successful. And success isn't about money or about, you know, type of, you know, field you're in. It's about your personal happiness. And for you, it seems, although your road has been bumpy, you found purpose in everything that you're doing.
Right.
And I think that is most important. So I guess, you know, just to cap off this, you know, there's a lot to dissect from this, you know, conversation.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now, right, about the league, about playing college sports, your brother playing, you know, for Central Florida. Like, if you were you now and you would tell your brother when he was a freshman in college, what would you tell him about the process from freshman year in college up until now and going on and so forth that somebody on this podcast can learn from?
Definitely the details, definitely the little things. A lot of people focus so much on the big picture. You have to focus on each day, each individual snap, each individual rep, each individual stance. You know, football is a game of inches. Life is a game of the details. So you have to focus on those things so that you can become the best person that you can be. You can't be the best person you are only doing bench press. You literally have to make sure your technique, your form, and everything is correct so that you can translate those things into everything that you do. So details and becoming the best person that you can be is the best advice I can give anybody. Don't worry about anything else, what anybody else is doing, what anybody else is talking about. You have to focus on yourself. You have to become the best version of you.
Absolutely. And we going to leave it on that note. And my old high school coach, who now I coach for now, said one thing, and it coincides with what you said, is put your blinders on. And what that means is, you know, when horse racers, they have these little blinders on their eyes, because if they take one of the blinders off, they'll go off and they'll kind of stop, right, in a horse race. So they put blinders on the left and the right of their eyes so they can't only see, it's almost as if it's tunnel vision. And as you're saying, just be infatuated with the details and just focus on you. Thank you for listening to the Do Whatever It Takes podcast. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Team Do It, and log on to teamdowit.com to book your next training session or speaking engagement. Always remember to live in your purpose.